Welcome to the Early Stage Investor, where we only cover assets that are in the early stages of a mega trend and that could potentially provide life-changing returns. Bittensor is one of the most interesting assets I have ever come across. When we look at a crypto, we need breakthrough technology, revolutionary technology. We need good tokenomics, and we need adoption. If we can get that right, that we are in a position to follow in the footsteps of the crypto millionaires that were minted that invested in Bitcoin and Ethereum early. It's that simple, right? We've been in a macroeconomic downturn ever since the previous bull market top of 2021. So crypto's been struggling, just like the early days of the internet. Revolutionary internet stocks struggled, but it really didn't matter. What matters is what's next. So let's talk about Bittensor, the pros and cons. First up, what is Bittensor? It's an open source protocol, right? So it's decentralized. Anyone can work on this protocol. And it's a blockchain-based machine learning network. So machine learning models train collaboratively and are rewarded in Tau according to the informational value they offer the collective. Someone who holds Tau, a validator, can ask for a problem to be solved. So the problems this ecosystem is focused on solving are related to getting the most efficient and high quality artificial intelligence and machine learning on the planet, right? So they incentivize hackers, computer scientists from all over the world, the most brilliant computer scientists on the planet, to enter the ecosystem and solve major problems. And everyone who holds a Tau token benefits whenever these brilliant people solve artificial intelligence problems, right? That is the promise. Let's go into exactly what is going on though, because every crypto asset will promise revolutionary tech. Can they deliver? More than a dozen teams around the world are currently earning over $1 million mining, also known as making open source AI models on the Bittensor network. So Tau holders are benefiting from all these teams working on AI. Subnet 9 is just one example. There's over 40 of these subnets that make up this network. Subnet 9 incentivizes the production of pre-training outputs. The top miner there is earning over $12 million a year, right? Now, how are they earning this? They're earning this from inflation of the Tau token. We're going to talk about the tokenomics of this asset. There's so much to cover, but for now, that's how they're earning their capital. It hasn't dented the price of the asset very much. We'll get into the tokenomics, but first let's talk about what they're actually doing, right? Again, lots of promises. Who is actually delivering on these promises? Well, these are the Bittensor subnets. They have subnets that deal with data indexing, scraping, and analysis, AI model creation, compute, inference, text generation, general compute, distributed compute, research problems, protein folding, AI model optimization, prediction, event prediction, price prediction, applications, trading, AI text detection, deepfake detection, code generation. So that's what these subnets are promising. Again, over a dozen teams building and solving these problems. What kind of work have they put out so far? Well, Subnet 9 trained a model that surpasses Llama 2, which is a machine learning model created by big tech. They surpassed Llama 2 using a cluster 50 times smaller than Meta's. So they're solving real problem. People are incentivized to create the best artificial intelligence on the planet. Social Tensor, Subnet 23 generates 22 million images per day. Horde has 2,800 GPUs. What is required for artificial intelligence is GPUs. This network has thousands of GPUs a part of it already. Here's some clips that I posted on my Patreon previously, but I'm including them in this deep dive into Bittensor and what it actually is. This is from the founder of Bittensor.
Rewards miners for being able to inference machine learning models, like large machine learning models. This is a Llama 3, which is an 80 billion parameter model. It requires a stack of H100s to inference. It's very expensive. This is like the major cost of a company like OpenAI. And we framed the problem as an incentive problem. Okay, good. You've got to inference these machine learning models as quickly as you can. So this is an 80 billion parameter model. And I'm going to ask it to, let's say, write me a poem about why dogs are better than cats. I hope I didn't offend anyone in the audience. So what just happened? This front end, which is a product, and they're only able to build this product because they own Tau. took my query and sent it to the miners. And those miners are now streaming these results back to this front end and doing it as fast as they can because if they can do it faster, they make more money.
So what he's proving, what he just proved in real time, is that they're creating real artificial intelligence. And so they're actually building competitors to ChatGPT, and it's actually working, right? That is what is so, doesn't get bigger than this. This is decentralized AI. So the reason why I wasn't huge on Bittensor before was because the price had pumped. We don't chase pumping charts at $700. It's come down now. Also, there was a question of adoption. Well, now the adoption, the power of the network is coming to light. Revolutionary, real AI developed on chain in a much more efficient way than big tech is doing it. It really doesn't get bigger than that. And that is the power of what Bittensor is doing, but that is not all.
GPT-4 obviously built on a massive foundation model, and all of the major megalithic corporations in the world competing by buying many thousands of H100s to see if they can minimize the loss in a pre-training objective, which is like the foundational problem in artificial intelligence. So we've been able to structure an objective function to train machine learning models in a decentralized way, which are owned and co-owned by the network, this could be shouted from rooftops because I think it's probably the most significant model ever trained in a decentralized environment. It's a 7 billion parameter model. It performed better than Falcon, which was made by UAE on their own data set. And this was done by a group of shady underground hackers that we don't even know, procuring compute and applying their skills to lower the loss on this specific data set. So these are just 7 of the 45 subnets currently running on Bittensor. You could think of them as individual machines, and these are some of the outputs.
So it's just unreal what is going on in this asset, right? They're creating models that are better than what the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, is creating. And it's all on this crypto platform. It's all perfectly decentralized. So when you talk about assets that are AI related, Tau, artificial superintelligence, but that's not all, because the tokenomics of this asset are next level unbelievable.
I mean, I use Bittensor every day because I use an application called Cursor, which is where you write code, and I query the network for prompts, for outputs about how I should write code, and that's actually, it's really fast actually, and it's cheaper than OpenAI for me because I have Tau.
So you can use Bittensor and access these powerhouse important models, and it's cheap when you have Tau, right? So the more Tau someone actually holds in this ecosystem, the more they can get out of it. The more data they can access, the less expensive it is. So there is going to be a massive race to accumulate as much Tau as possible. That's why the price has difficulty staying down. There is massive buying pressure because the brilliant minds using this ecosystem need to hold Tau, right? There's also a fixed supply of Tau. So we're talking 21 million total Tau. There's inflation, just like Bitcoin had 21 million total supply and inflation early on to pay the miners. That's what's happening. But this inflation is being used to finance the most powerful artificial intelligence networks, or some of them in the world, especially in the decentralized world, right? So that's called a good use of inflation, especially because the supply is fixed. And especially because the more Tau people hoard, the more powerful they are in this ecosystem. Such a massive asset. This video got like 400 views. So it's so undiscovered what is going on.
The miners are also running in these meta networks and doing work for the validators in the meta networks. And they're doing the work for the validators in the meta networks because the evaluations from the validators is what they need to make money, to make Tau. That's the foundational design of the incentive mechanisms. Now, those miners, for instance, in what's a good example? In the folding subnet, perfect example, they produce folds over proteins that are given to them by the validators, and then they respond to the validators, and the validators check those proteins or a subset of those proteins to see if they're properly done, and then they're rewarded for producing more per second. Those validators are holding Tau. What gives them consensus power within inside of the subnetwork the ability to determine how much the miners get is proportional to the amount of tau they have. So it's a proof of stake mechanism. It's actually a proof of stake mechanism on top of a proof of authority mechanism at the chain level.
So the more tau these validators have, the more say they have in the network. The tokenomics are absolutely unbelievable. I think there's just going to be a scramble to accumulate as much tau as humanly possible within this network as the smartest people on the planet start building out AI models within this ecosystem, and they're already successful. So the bottom line is real artificial intelligence is being built on this network. There are so many crypto assets that claim to be AI. How many of them actually have AI, real AI being built on the network? ICP has real AI being built on the network. ICP is more of a world computer that is probably more versatile than the Bittensor network. But when it comes to pure AI, it really doesn't get better than Bittensor. We're going to do another video on the artificial super intelligence asset. That's another interesting AI asset. But Bittensor is creating AI. The token holders benefit directly from all the AI that is being created. There's a massive use case for this asset, and it's starting to be discovered. What are the three most important things in crypto? Adoption, technology, and tokenomics. We covered technology, plenty of technology, revolutionary technology. What about adoption? Well, this comes from a major venture capitalist. He took Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic public. He's worth a fortune. He's been investing in Silicon Valley for a long time.
It's like this Web3 model does actually apply here, where there are some really interesting early adventures in crowdsourcing technical completion. I would encourage you to look at a project that I'm starting to focus a little bit on called Bittensor. And I was like, what is this thing? And it's basically a thing where you go and solve technical problems and produce features that people require, that need, and you get paid in this underlying currency. That is actually a distributed form of venture that actually makes sense.
Like a bounty?
Essentially,
Yeah.
We're like, 15 companies that need a replacement to Salesforce just say, here's the bounty and here's the feature set. And it's a crowdsourced or a community sourced PRD. And then some LLM spits out the code. Like that is this crazy new world that we're going to. So it's all about speed of execution, I think.
So that is an elite group of Silicon Valley venture capitalists. Chamath is the one talking. Again, a super wealthy venture capitalist noticing Bittensor. Venture capitalists are pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into Bittensor, a little-known AI crypto project. Polychain Capital, Digital Currency Group, and DAO5 have bought up hundreds of millions of dollars worth of the project's token Tau, which powers an array of AI-related services offered by the network, such as model training and data storage, right? This is real adoption. You could argue the tech that's being built on Bittensor and the problems they've solved is a clear indicator of serious adoption already, but it's starting to get noticed by some power players. So let's talk about the token, right? The third pillar of a good crypto. It can't just be super hyperinflationary. Well, the total supply of Bittensor is 21 million, right? Just like Bitcoin. Currently, there's 7.3 million Tau tokens in circulation. This is how that breaks down. In green, we see total staked Bittensor. 81% of all Bittensor is staked, earning passive income from this ecosystem, generating Tau rewards. The rest, only 20% of Bittensor, about 1.4 million tokens, are circulating. So that is how it can justify having such a massive market cap of 7 billion, because there just isn't that much circulating. Now, if all that was just dumped on the market, that would be one thing. But what we've proven in this video is people need the Tau token in order to get any value out of this ecosystem. You need the Tau token. So more and more and more of that is going to get locked up. So I really think as this develops, there's going to be a supply crunch in the Tau token. More and more and more people are going to want access to the Tau token. Remember, it's a fixed supply. Massive. And then there are Tau halvings, right? In 446 days, we're going to get the next Tau halving, November 16, 2025, which means inflation will be reduced. So the supply at the first halving will be 10.5 million. Currently, there's 7 million. Remember, the total supply is 21 million, and that's just supposed to shrink over time, just like Bitcoin. Truly revolutionary, groundbreaking technology. What are the risks associated with this asset? Competition. Any asset can sprout up a similar type of network where they incentivize smart people from around the world to create AI. That is the risk to this asset. But it seems like this one has plenty going for it, plenty of adoption, amazing tokenomics, and it's part of the best narrative on the planet, which is artificial intelligence. So that is a look at Bittensor. Let me know if you want me to cover any other assets, but this one is just mind blowing.